Good day, students. It's your student teacher, Christian Joe Obligor. Again, you can call me Sir Joey. And for today's lesson, I'm gonna teach you the ways of proving that quadrilaterals are parallelograms. So, from our previous discussion, we discovered and we explored that a quadrilateral is a parallelogram if its diagonals bisects to each other and two pairs of opposite the both pairs of opposite angles are congruent, the both pairs of opposite sides are congruent, and if one angle is supplementary to both of its consecutive sides, pwede natin siyang ma-considered as a parallelogram. But now, I'm gonna teach you I'm gonna explain some theorems that supports that this quadrilateral is a parallelogram. Okay, students, are you ready? Okay, I think you are all ready. So let's start. So the number one theorem would be each diagonal of a parallelogram divides the parallelogram into two congruent triangles. So in this theorem, naintindihan natin and we understand that when we draw a diagonal line inside the quadrilateral o parallelogram, it divides na mag-form tayo ng two congruent triangles. Pag sinabi natin two congruent triangles, dalawang magkamuka o magkaparehas na triangle. Same size, same yung length, same yung size or same yung measurement ng triangles na yun when we say a congruent o pag sinabi natin congruent triangles. Okay? As you can see, if quadrilateral ABCD is a parallelogram with diagonal AC, as you can see, diagonal AC, line segment AC, then the triangle ABC is congruent or same or makaparehas sa triangle CDA. Okay? As well as in this figure, also ganun din siya. Okay? We can say that if si diagonal down ng parallelogram, if we need it, pag dinivide natin siya, it will form a two congruent triangles. Okay? So now, we all know that the definition of theorem is it is a statement that can be proved with a proof or which has been proven. Pag sinabi natin theorem, so we can support our theorem and we can prove that using two column. Okay? In this two column, we have statements and reasons. Okay? Let's have a given. Syempre, may given na tayo na quadrilateral ABCD is a parallelogram. So, alam natin, we can draw that ABCD. So, we can also draw an line segment AC is a diagonal. So, we can say that AC is diagonal. So, pwede natin siyang lagyan ng line segment inside or diagonal line inside. So, ito na yung theorem. So, how can we prove that triangle ABC is congruent to triangle CDA? Kailangan kasi natin siya i-prove. So, we will use two-column proving. Okay? Now, let's have statements and reason to prove that. Okay? Statements, of course, we have ABCD is a parallelogram, then reason given. Then, since we all know that ABCD is a parallelogram, one of the characteristic of a parallelogram is that it's two pairs. Diba naintindihan natin? Pag sinabi natin parallelogram, based on our definition before, that a parallelogram is a two opposite sides are parallel. So ngayon alam natin si AB is parallel to DC. So we can say that our next statement is AB is parallel to DC. Line segment AB is congruent is parallel to DC and DA is parallel to BA. So, tandaan natin, when we extend the line, it will not intersect. Okay? Okay. Pag in-extend natin yan, they will not intersect. Wait lang. Para mas magets nyo siya. pag sinabi kasi natin parallel line, hindi sila magi-intersect. Okay? Katulad ni AD, hindi sila magi-intersect ni BC, yung katapat nila. Okay? So, that's the meaning of, that is the definition of parallelogram. Okay, so ayan. So, next naman is, since alam na natin na they are parallel to each other, mas maintindihan din natin, ang next naman step is to makita natin yung angles ni angle CAD is congruent to angle BCA. Paano natin masasabi? Ang reason natin is the pair of alternate interior angles are congruent. So, that is the theorem that we can use to support, ayun yung rason natin to support na those angles are congruent. Okay? Sige. Okay. Okay. So, alam natin na this angle BAC is congruent to angle ACD or DCA. Okay? So, ano yung reason natin, sir? Paano mo nasabi na congruent sila? Kasi alam naman natin na since alam natin na parallel si AB and DC to each other and DA is parallel to CB, since alam natin na parallel sila, we can say that yung alternate interior angles nila are congruent. Kasi we have here parallel lines and cut by a transversal line. Okay? Cut by a transversal line, meaning, those interior angles are congruent. So, ayun po, that's the reason. Okay? Pag may naguguluhan pa, if you, pwede nyo itong i-back yung video in order for you to understand. Kasi, search nyo din sa Google kung ano pa yung other definition ni pair of alternate interior angles are congruent theorem. Okay? But, in a very easy way to understand is that pag meron kang two pairs of parallel lines and cut by a transversal lines, always yung interior angles nila are congruent. Okay? Next. We have here AC is congruent to CA or AC is congruent to AC. Parang pwede naman sila magkabaliktad. So, what our reason is reflexive. Why? Kasi, pag sinabing ganun, kasi as you can see, they have the same size. Kung alam natin na this one is, if this, okay, very basic lang to. Pag may nakita kayong magkadikit na line, okay, kunyari itong triangle na to, magkadikit sila using this line, dun sila nagdikit, meaning that line segment is congruent to each other. So, what is the reason? Reflexive property. Because when we say reflexive property, this they have the same measurement. Okay, they have the same measurement, or its measurement, number of measurements is the same. Okay, so yun. Okay, so pag may nakita yung ganito, magkadikit, ayan, ganyan. Example, ganito, ganyan. Meaning, itong line na to is reflexive property or congruent. Kasi magka-same sila ng size kasi magkadikit lang naman din sila. Okay? Next naman, we can say that this triangle A, na-conclude na natin that this triangle ABC is congruent to triangle CDA. Okay, itong triangle na to, tandaan nyo, congruent sila. May makikita kayong triangle. So, yun yung prove natin that why ABCD is parallelogram. Okay, next naman, let's continue our discussion. Let's have another theorem. Opposite sides of a parallelogram are congruent. Pag may sinabi natin opposite sides, this side AB and side DC is congruent to each other. And side AD is congruent to side BC. Okay? So, that's the definition. Okay? To prove that, we have here same definition lang para ma-prove natin yun. It's just that, meron tayong kailangan nating improve. Okay? Kanina, na-prove natin na the triangle A, BC is congruent to triangle CDA. Ngayon, using ASA. Ano ba yung ASA? Katulad pala kanina, hindi ko pala na-explain. Pag sinabi natin ASA, it is angle side angle. As you can see, meron tayong meron tayo ditong okay, nawala yung pointer natin. Okay. Okay, we have here angle, and this side is congruent, then this side is congruent to each other. It means that angle side angle. So, we can use A as a postulate. Okay? So, we learned that different postulates from our last grade 8 and grade 7. Okay? Next naman, dito naman, since we proved that angle ABC is congruent to CDA, ang hinahanap naman natin dito para ma-support that opposite sides of parallelogram are congruent, na ma-support natin na si AB is congruent talaga kay DC, alam natin na we can say that corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. Oh, sir, medyo ang hirap intindihin. Basta, isipin nyo lang na if we prove that ADC is congruent to each other, it means that yung corresponding parts of congruent triangles, yung corresponding parts ng congruent triangles, itong triangles na to, are congruent. Okay? So, meaning, si AB, itong AB is congruent to DC. Parang na-prove na natin siya. Kasi since na-prove natin na this triangle ACD and triangle BAC is angle side angle postulate, meaning yung corresponding parts na nilang dalawa is congruent. Okay? So, that's it. That is the definition. Okay? So, yon. Next naman, another theorem is opposite angles of a parallelogram are congruent. So, opposite angles. Kapag nakita natin si angle A, pag sinabi natin a quadrilateral is congruent, is parallelogram kapag si opposite angles are congruent to each other. So, angle A is congruent to C, angle B is congruent to D. So, that is the definition. Okay? Kapag sinabi natin congruent, ulit, they have the same measurement. So, kung si angle A is 68 degrees, si angle C din is 68 degrees. And si angle D is 112 degrees, meaning si angle B is 112 degrees din. So, that makes a quadrilateral a parallelogram. Okay? Opposite angles of a parallelogram are congruent, meaning same measurement. And next theorem is any two consecutive angles of a parallelogram are supplementary. When we say supplementary again, it measures 180 degrees. Okay? So, we have here angle A, which is 68 degrees. Okay? We have here 68 degrees. And consecutive angle niya is 112. So, when we add them, it measures 180 degrees. Okay? Okay. Wait lang. Okay, it measures 180 degrees. Okay? And also, when we add 68 and 112, also 180 degrees. So, we have to keep in mind that consecutive angles. Okay? So, that is the theorem that we are talking about. Two consecutive angles of parallelogram are supplementary. And next theorem, the diagonals bisect of a parallelogram. The diagonals of the parallelogram bisect each other. It means that they are congruent. Ngayon, si DA bisects to AC. It means that this DC, DQ, ayan, and segment DQ is congruent two-line segment BQ. So, ganun lang. Masasabi natin, pag sinabi natin congruent, kapag ito ay 8 degrees, ito din ay 8 degrees. Kapag ito ay 3 degrees, at 3 centimeter, ito din ay 3 centimeter. Okay? Hindi degrees centimeter pala. So, nagkamali lang. Nagkamali lang yung bibig ko. Ayan, just kidding. Okay? So, okay. So, yan. So, yun yung definition niya. Okay? Ayun yung theorem na yan. Okay? Next naman, ito naman yung conversal part na nito. If AQ is congruent to CQ and BQ is congruent to DQ, pag congruent daw si DQ and QB, it means that it is a parallelogram. It means that those quadrilateral is parallelogram. Okay? So, next naman, lastly, last theorem is if an angle of a quadrilateral is supplementary to both consecutive angles, then the quadrilateral is parallelogram. Okay, alam din naman natin to na yung kapag yung consecutive angles niya ay supplementary to both consecutive angles, it means that the quadrilateral is parallelogram. Okay, when we add 110 plus 70, it is a 180 degrees. Okay? So, alam na natin yun. Okay, now let's start to answer this part of your book, page 248. So, I'm encourage everyone to answer the activities on your book kasi dyan kayo matututo eh. Kasi based on my experience before, when I answer different activities on the book, that's the time that I learn. That's the time that I practice myself doing. And minsan kasi mahirap din kasi yung hindi mo na-apply yung tinuro ng teacher sa inyo. Kasi sometimes na-observe niyo siya pero hindi niyo na-apply. So this is the time that you actually do it on your own, itong mga activities na to. Okay, let's start. So determine whether at each quadrilateral is a parallelogram or not. Justify your answer. Sa unang tingin pa lang, this is the technique. Sa unang tingin pa lang, pag nakita nyo na to na there is an exterior angle here, tapos yung opposite side niya, alam naman natin na kapag ang buong half rotation dun sa pag gumamit tayo ng compass or ang supplementary, it measures 180 degrees. Okay? So, kapag may nakita tayong ganito, tapos one straight line siya, then ang measures niya is 180 degrees. So, may nakita tayong 75. So, ang pwede natin gawin is 180 degrees minus 75, that would be 105. Okay? Okay, so pwede natin ganito gawin. Since alam naman natin that is opposite angles are congruent, then we can consider that as a parallelogram. So, this is a parallelogram. Kasi same lang siya sa bed. Same, and same. Okay? So, yun yung maganda doon. Mas na natin siya. Mas nahihinuha natin or nakong-conclude natin. And let's go to the next given example. Try it. We have here side. Okay, we have here side. Bakit side? Sir, kasi congruent kasi sila. So, we can say that it is side, angle, and side. So, side, angle, side, it is a postulate, meaning side, angle, side, two sides are congruent. Ayan, two sides are congruent. Then, the vertex angle are also congruent. So, we can say that we can use the side angle side postulate. So, it means that this is a parallelogram. Okay? So, yun. Okay, so let's move on and to example. Explain ko lang to since meron na kasi. So, sige, explain ko na lang siya. So, find the value of x and y for which quadrilateral CARE o CARE is a parallelogram. Okay, sabi dito, we have this given 4x, 5x minus 4. Diagonals of a parallelogram bisect each other. Okay, alam na natin yun, that diagonals of parallelogram bisect to each other. And also, we can write this as this. Okay, katulad nito. 5x minus 4 is equals to 4x. Why? Kasi we all know that this side is parallel to each other. So, it meaning equal siya. So, we can write this as 5x minus 4 is equals to 4x, or 4x is equals to 5x minus 4. Okay? So, paano natin nakuha tong x minus 4 is equals to 0? Kasi we subtract 4x from each side. Okay? Or, we can transpose this positive 4x sa kabila, and then, pag tinranspose na natin siya, magiging negative 4x na siya. So, we can combine like terms, and we will be having x na lang. Kasi, 5x minus 4x minus 4, we will have x minus 4 is equals to 0. And then, we can transpose this here, or we can add to each side para makuha natin tong x is equals to 4. Okay? Parang simple algebra lang siya. Okay? And then, so, ibig sabihin, we have the value of x, which is 4. So, 4x, o 4 times 4 is 16. Meron tayong 16 dito. Okay? And this one, 5x is minus 4. So, 5 times 4 is 20. Minus 4 equals 16. So, same lang sila. Congruent lang sila. Okay? Next naman, for a quadrilateral to be a parallelogram, a pair of opposite sides must be parallel and congruent. Okay, since this side is congruent to this side, we can say that 5x minus 12 is equals to 2x plus 3. So, opposite sides are congruent. Kasi, pwede natin siya i-equal kasi congruent naman sila. Okay, so, pwede natin isulat yan. And to find the value of x, i-combine like terms ulit natin sila. So, ito, 2x lalagay natin dito, magiging negative 2x na siya. So, 5x minus 2x equals 3x. So, ito naman, okay na. So, pwede natin gawin yan. 3x minus 12 is equals to 3. So, pwede, si negative 2 naman, pwede natin siyang isubtract into 2x, or pwede tayong mag-add 12 to each, add 12 to each side. Okay? Bakit kasi ina-add? Para din ma-cancel out siya o ma-move natin siya. Pero ang pinakamaganda din, pwede natin isipin is yung transposition. Paano, sir, yung transposition? Pag sinabing transposition, pag nilipat natin siya sa kabilang equals, tumawid tayo ng equal sign, we can transpose it from a negative into positive, or from positive to negative. Okay? So, di ba, ito, magiging positive 12 na dito. So, magiging plus 12 na to dito. So, kaya siya naging 15. Okay, so ito wala na to. Syempre, transfer na natin siya. So, 3x minus 15. Tapos, divide both sides by 3. Then, we have x minus is equals to 5. Okay, so, i-substitute lang nyo yung x dito. Then, parehas na sila ng measurement. Okay, this one naman, for a quadrilateral to be a parallelogram, both pairs of opposite side angles must be congruent. Okay, so again, ganun lang din ulit. So, we have your 2x plus 4 is equals to 120. Bakit? Kasi itong angle na to, wait lang, let's try another color para din makita nyo ng maayos. Bakit? Kasi itong ano na to, itong angle C na to is congruent to this angle is congruent to and this angle C is congruent to angle R, meaning magkapareha sila. Kahit magkaiba sila at nakikita nyong mga numbers and X, magkaparehas sila. Kasi kailangan nyo munang mahanapin yung value ng X para magkaparehas sila ng measurement. So, in order to do that, 2x plus 4 is equals to 120. So, equal na natin sila. To get the x, so, we subtract 4 from each side, and then, or transposed 4 from positive 4 magiging negative 4 siya. So, kaya naging 16 to. Okay, 120 minus 4 is 116. So, divide by both sides by 2 to get the value of x. So, we have 58. So, when we multiply 2 times 58 plus 4, we will have a 120. And ganun din, and so on and so forth. Ganun din dito. Okay? For a quadrilateral to be parallelogram, its angle must be supplementary to both consecutive angles. So, 3y plus 9 plus 20 is equals to 180, right? Kasi, supplementary siya. It means it measures 180. Sir, bakit naging ba't hindi na ginawa ng 3y plus 90 is equals to 120? Hindi, kasi hindi sila equal. Okay? Hindi natin gagawin na 3y plus 9 is equals to 120. Hindi, kasi hindi naman sila equal o hindi naman sila congruent. This angle C is not congruent to angle R. Ano lang sila? Supplementary. Meaning, mag-i-equal lang sila sa 180 degrees. Okay, sana naiintindihan nyo. Ano po? Okay, so ganun yun. Okay? So, we can now say that 3y plus 9 plus 120 is equals to 180. And then, turn down into 3y is equals to 51. Then, divide both sides by 3. And we have y is equals to 17. Okay? So, yun lang yun. Then, ito, same lang din siyang process. And lastly, we can, okay, wait lang. Okay. Okay, lastly, pwede, tawag dito. Okay. Ito na. So, find the value of x and y for which care is parallelogram. So, we try it. Ang ginawa natin, opposite sides are congruent. Kasi, kailangan nyo isipin, yung itong side na to, ito kasi medyo mahirap to get the value of x. So, dun lang kayo, mag-isip kayo dun sa diagonal na madaling kunin yung value ng x. Example, itong 4x, itong 12. Baka sabihin nyo, sir, hindi naman sila congruent kasi ito 4x to 12. Hindi pa. Kasi you need to find the value of x para mag-complement o para maging congruent sila sa 12. Okay, to do that, syempre ilalagay natin siya. Opposite sides are congruent. So 4x is equals to 12. And then to get the value of x, we divide both sides by 4 and then we get x is equals to 3. Okay, so alam na natin yung value of x. Okay, so we can now substitute this part, itong diagonal CR o this line segment CR nung x na to, so we can do that. Now, x plus 5 is equals to 2y minus 4 kasi congruent sila. And then, we substitute x to 3. 3 plus 5 is equals to 2y minus 4. So, substitute lang din natin yung value of x. So, we have here, 8 is equals to 2y minus 4. Okay? So, to get that, we add both sides by 4 para din maging ma-cancel out, then malipat natin yung plus 4 sa kabilang side. So, 8 plus 4 is 12, then is equals to 2y. So, we divide both sides by 2, then we get the value of y, which is 6. Okay? Kung isa-substitute mo to, ang mangyayari,